Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the U.S. horizon, watching Earth's quantum defense grid sparkle like a web of stars against the void. Each glittering node represented humanity's best attempt to match the Meridian Collective's superior technology. Now those lights were going dark one by one. "Status report," she called out, keeping her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The bridge crew of Earth's most experimental vessel worked with practiced efficiency, their movements precise but tinged with urgency. 3 more quantum nodes just went offline. Lieutenant Paddle reported from the tactical station. The Meridians are using some kind of cascading decoherence effect. They're not just destroying the grid, they're unmaking it at the quantum level. Chen nodded, her expression grim. The horizon had been rushed into service specifically because of the Meridian threat. While other human ships relied on conventional propulsion and weapons, the horizon carried experimental quantum technology that even its crew didn't fully understand. "Dr. Rivera, talk to me about our options." Chen turned to the civilian scientist who had become an unlikely addition to her crew. Marcus Rivera looked out of place on a military vessel, his rumpled appearance and distracted air more suited to a university laboratory than a warship's bridge. "The good news," Rivera said, his hands dancing across his specialized console, "is that we're recording everything the Meridians are doing. The bad news is they're operating on principles that shouldn't be possible according to our understanding of quantum mechanics." The Meridian Collective had appeared 6 months ago, emerging from what they called true space, a realm of pure quantum possibility that human science had barely begun to theorize about. Their ships were crystalline constructs that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, making them nearly impossible to target or damage with conventional weapons. "Multiple contacts." Patel's voice cut through Chen's thoughts. "Meridian vessels emerging from true space. Count is 15 ships, Commander. They're forming a quantum lattice formation." The view through the bridge windows shifted as massive crystalline shapes materialized around them. Meridian ships didn't look constructed so much as grown, their geometric patterns repeating at every scale from microscopic to massive. They pulsed with internal light that seemed to follow rules different from normal spacetime. "They haven't detected us yet," Chen said, though she knew it was only a matter of time. The horizon's experimental quantum shroud could hide them temporarily, but it wouldn't last forever. "Dr. Rivera, is the mirror drive ready?" Rivera's fingers flew across his console, making adjustments to systems that defied conventional physics. "As ready as it'll ever be. But Commander, I have to remind you that this is completely untested technology. The theoretical models suggest. Theory time is over, Doctor." Chen cut him off gently but firmly. "Earth's last line of defense is about to fall. We're out of options and out of time." The quantum defense grid had been humanity's greatest achievement, a network of satellites and stations that could theoretically prevent any hostile force from approaching Earth through conventional or quantum space. The Meridians were proving just how theoretical that protection had been. "All hands, battle stations," Chen ordered, her voice carrying to every corner of the ship through the comm system. "This is not a drill. We are engaging the enemy with experimental technology against superior numbers. But remember, humanity didn't get to the stars by playing it safe." The Horizon's crew responded with professional efficiency, though Chen could sense their tension. They had trained for this, but simulations could only prepare you so much for actual combat with an enemy that bent reality itself. "Mirror drive spooling up," Rivera reported, his voice steadier now that they were committed to action. "Quantum field coherence at 89% and holding. If this works, well, if this works, we're about to rewrite physics." Chen allowed herself a small smile. This was humanity at its best, backed into a corner, outnumbered, outgunned, but still innovating, still fighting, still refusing to accept impossible odds. "Meridian vessels are moving to surround the next section of the defense grid," Paddle reported. Commander, they're completely ignoring us. Their sensors should have detected us by now, but they're not even acknowledging our presence. That's because we're not fully here, Rivera muttered, making minute adjustments to his instruments. The mirror drive isn't just hiding us, it's shifting us partially into true space. We're existing in a quantum superposition, just like they do. Chen watched as the nearest Meridian ship moved into position. Up close, their vessels were even more beautiful and alien. The crystalline surface seemed to ripple with possibilities, each facet showing a slightly different version of reality. Mirror drive at full power, Rivera announced. We can maintain this state for approximately 12 minutes before quantum coherence breaks down. After that, he shrugged. Well, after that, physics gets very unhappy with us. 12 minutes to save Earth, Chen said, her voice carrying a hint of irony. No pressure. She straightened in her command chair, studying the tactical display. Lieutenant Patel, target the lead vessel. Dr. Rivera, prepare to initiate quantum mirroring on my mark. The Horizon's experimental weapons powered up silently, drawing on principles that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. They were about to find out if humanity's desperate innovations could match an enemy that had mastered the quantum realm centuries ago. All stations report ready, Patel announced. Chen took a deep breath, considering her next words carefully. This moment would be remembered, either as humanity's last stand, or as the day they proved they could compete with the most advanced species they'd ever encountered. Here's the thing about humans, she said, her voice carrying clearly across the bridge. We may not understand everything about quantum mechanics. We may be centuries behind the Meridians in technology, but we know something they don't. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to play by the rules. Sometimes you have to change the game entirely. She leaned forward in her chair, her decision made. All hands, prepare for quantum engagement. Dr. Rivera, initiate the mirror drive. Let's show the Meridians why humanity never stopped believing in the impossible. The Horizon's experimental drive hummed to life, and reality itself began to blur around them. They were about to attempt something that no human ship had ever done. Fight the Meridians on their own quantum terms. As the familiar universe began to shift and change around them, Chen smiled grimly. Win or lose, they were about to make history. Mirror drive engage, Rivera reported as the ship slipped between states of reality. We're no longer simply existing in normal space. We're everywhere and nowhere at once. Just like them. Chen nodded. Weapons? Armed and ready, Patel confirmed. Though I have to say, Commander, firing solutions get a lot more complicated when you're targeting something that exists in multiple states simultaneously. Then it's a good thing we brought along humanity's secret weapon, Chen replied, glancing at Rivera. Sometimes the best calculator is still the human brain, especially when it's thinking outside conventional physics. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity's fate rested on the shoulders of a crew willing to break the rules of reality itself to save their home. The Meridian ships never saw the first attack coming. In the quantum realm where they existed, the U.S. Horizon appeared as nothing more than another possibility. Until it wasn't. Mirror drive holding stable at 82%. Dr. Rivera reported, his eyes fixed on readings that would have given most physicists a headache. We're successfully mimicking their quantum state, but there's something odd about their response pattern. Commander Chen watched as their first quantum torpedo phased through normal space, its trajectory impossible to predict because it existed in multiple states simultaneously. The Meridian vessel it struck flickered like a faulty hologram, its crystalline structure briefly showing all possible configurations at once. Direct hit, Patel announced, though her voice carried a note of confusion. But damage is uncertain. It's like the ship is both damaged and undamaged at the same time. Welcome to quantum combat, Rivera muttered, making rapid adjustments to his instruments. In this state, everything is probability until it's observed. The trick isn't just hitting them, it's forcing them to collapse into a state where the damage becomes real. Chen nodded, understanding at least the basic principle. So how do we make sure the damage sticks? That's where my theory about their quantum architecture comes in, Rivera said, his excitement momentarily overwhelming his usual scientific detachment. Look at their formation. It's not just tactical, it's maintaining a quantum coherence field. They're linking their probability states together. The tactical display showed the Meridian ships arranged in a complex geometric pattern, lines of quantum energy flowing between them like an elaborate dance. As they watched, the damaged ship's uncertain state began to stabilize, its probabilities resolving back toward an undamaged configuration. They're sharing quantum states, Chen realized, distributing the damage across their entire network. Exactly. Rivera's fingers flew across his console. But that's also their weakness. Their quantum network is too perfect, too ordered. And if there's one thing humans understand better than anyone else in the universe, it's how to introduce chaos into ordered systems. A second Meridian ship detected their presence, turning its crystalline bulk toward the horizon. Energy began to gather along its faceted surface, pooling into weapons that operated on principles human science was only beginning to grasp. Incoming fire, Patel warned. Multiple quantum beams, probability of impact, uncertain. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered, then caught herself. No, wait. Dr. Rivera, can we use the mirror drive to exist in a state where those beams can't hit us? Rivera's eyes lit up. Better than that, Commander. We can reflect their own quantum state back at them. Show them what their perfect order looks like with a human twist. He paused, his expression growing serious. But there's a risk. The more we manipulate quantum states, the more strain we put on the mirror drive. We're not just bending the rules of physics anymore. We're practically breaking them. How long until total system failure? At current usage, maybe 8 minutes, less if we start getting creative with quantum reflections. Chen watched as the Meridian energy beams approached, existing in multiple trajectories simultaneously. 8 minutes to save Earth. I've worked with worse odds. Execute the reflection, Doctor. Let's show them why humans never stopped playing with mirrors. The Horizon's experimental drive hummed at a new frequency as Rivera implemented his modifications. The incoming Meridian beams struck what appeared to be empty space, and then reality itself seemed to shatter. The reflected energy cascaded back toward the Meridian fleet, but it wasn't a simple mirror image. The human touch had introduced an element of chaos into the quantum patterns, creating variations that the perfectly ordered Meridian systems couldn't predict or counter. Their quantum network is destabilizing, Paddle reported with barely contained excitement. The chaotic reflections are forcing quantum decoherence across their entire formation. Chen leaned forward, watching as the Meridian ships began to flicker and shift, their perfect geometric formation starting to break down. They're not used to this kind of quantum manipulation, are they? Their technology is more advanced, but it's also more rigid. That's humanity's greatest advantage, Rivera said, still working to maintain their quantum state. We don't just think outside the box. We take the box apart to see how it works, then rebuild it into something completely different. The Meridian fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Their ships began to pulse with energy, attempting to reestablish their quantum coherence through sheer power. The space around the horizon warped and twisted as reality itself struggled to accommodate the competing quantum states. Mirror drive stability dropping, Rivera warned. Down to 61%. The quantum feedback is more intense than our models predicted. Hold position, Chen ordered. Lieutenant Patel, target their command ship with everything we've got. Dr. Rivera, I need one more miracle. Can you synchronize our weapons with the quantum disruption we're causing? Rivera's hands moved across his console with almost musical precision. Already on it, Commander. But you should know, this goes beyond theoretical physics. We're basically making up new rules of quantum mechanics as we go. Story of human progress, Chen replied with a grim smile. We've never let little things like impossible or theoretical stop us before. The Horizon's weapons powered up, their energy signatures modulated to match the chaotic quantum patterns they were reflecting back at the meridians. As the ship prepared to fire, Chen couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, but their ability to improvise, to introduce chaos into order, to break rules that more advanced civilizations took for granted. Ghost Protocol fully implemented, Rivera announced. Our quantum signature is now completely unpredictable. To their sensors, we're simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, following patterns that shouldn't be possible. Just like humanity itself, Chen said softly. Always showing up where we're least expected, doing things that shouldn't be possible. She straightened in her command chair. All weapons, fire on my mark. Let's show the Meridians why the most dangerous force in the universe isn't perfect order. It's controlled chaos. The battle was far from over, but they had found their edge. As the Horizon prepared to launch its next attack, the quantum realm itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what impossible thing humans would do next. The bridge of the U.S. Horizon had become eerily quiet, save for the quantum drive's persistent hum and Rivera's rapid typing. The scientists' latest idea seemed insane, but in a battle where they were rewriting physics by the minute, insanity might be their best strategy. Let me get this straight, Commander Chen said, studying the proposal on her display. You want to use Earth's entire digital history as a weapon. Think about it, Rivera replied, his eyes bright with the fever of inspiration. The Meridians operate on perfect quantum coherence. Their whole civilization is built on predictable patterns and absolute order. But humanity, we're the opposite. Our entire history is chaos theory in action. Lieutenant Patel's tactical display showed the Meridian fleet regrouping, their ships forming new geometric patterns to compensate for the quantum disruption the Horizon had caused. They're adapting to our chaos patterns, Commander, establishing new quantum links between their vessels. Then we hit them with something they can't adapt to. Rivera's fingers flew across his console. I've been analyzing their quantum communications. They don't just share tactical data. They share consciousness, experience, understanding. Their entire fleet thinks as one. Chen understood where he was going. And you want to interrupt that unity by broadcasting human chaos directly into their quantum network. Not just chaos. Culture, art, music, memes, everything that makes humanity gloriously unpredictable. Their quantum consciousness evolved in perfect order. It's never been exposed to anything like human creativity. The Horizon shuddered as another quantum blast from the Meridian fleet passed through their position. The ship simultaneously hit and not hit in the quantum realm. The mirror drive whined in protest, straining to maintain their uncertain state. Mirror drive at 43% stability, Rivera reported. We need to do something dramatic before we lose our quantum advantage. Chen made her decision. Do it. Upload everything we've got. Show them humanity's greatest hits. Rivera's modifications took effect immediately. The Horizon's quantum communications array, designed to merely observe and interpret meridian transmissions, began broadcasting centuries of human digital history directly into their quantum network. The effect was instantaneous and stunning. The perfect geometric formations of the Meridian fleet began to waver as their shared consciousness encountered concepts it was never designed to process. Human art, with its beautiful imperfections. Music that followed rules specifically to break them. Scientific theories that questioned the nature of reality itself. Their quantum coherence is destabilizing, Patel reported, wonder in her voice. Individual ships are beginning to show signs of independence. Through the viewport, Chen watched as the crystalline vessels began moving in increasingly erratic patterns. Some maintained their positions in the fleet's geometric formation, while others broke away, their movements becoming almost organic. What exactly are we showing them? She asked Rivera. Everything, he replied, not taking his eyes off his readings. Renaissance art next to quantum physics papers. Symphony orchestras mixed with rock concerts. mathematical proofs alongside abstract expressionism. I'm showing them humanity's ability to find patterns in chaos and create chaos from patterns. The Meridian response was unlike anything they'd seen before. The quantum energy flowing between their ships began to pulse with new rhythms, as if trying to understand and incorporate the flood of human creativity and contradiction. Their flagship is broadcasting, Patil announced. But it's different. The quantum signatures are becoming individualized. It's like they're developing distinct personalities. They're experiencing individual thought for the first time, Rivera said softly. Their quantum consciousness is fragmenting into billions of possibilities, just like human consciousness. Chen watched as the Meridian fleet's perfect formation dissolved completely. Some ships clustered together in new, more organic patterns, while others moved independently, their crystalline surfaces reflecting the chaos of human culture they were processing. Mirror drive status, she asked. Holding at 39%, Rivera replied. But Commander, look at this. They're not just receiving our transmission. They're trying to understand it. Their quantum network is restructuring itself to process human creativity. The tactical display showed something unprecedented. Meridian ships beginning to move in patterns that mimicked human art forms. Some traced trajectories that looked like dance movements, while others arranged themselves in formations that resembled abstract sculptures. They're learning, Rivera observed, his jury-rigged systems now humming in a complex counterpoint to the ship's quantum field. But they're trying to understand our chaos through the lens of order. It's like trying to write down jazz before it's played. Commander Chen nodded, watching as the Meridian flagship moved to the center of their new formation. Its crystalline surface pulsed with patterns that looked almost like human art, but somehow wrong. Too perfect, too planned. Their quantum network is changing, Rivera continued, studying his readings. They're trying to replicate our individual quantum states, but they're doing it by breaking their network into predetermined segments. They still don't understand. You can't schedule spontaneity. The Meridian flagship's next transmission came not in their usual crystalline tones, but in a chorus of overlapping voices, each trying to express individuality through carefully calculated variations. We have analyzed your quantum patterns. We have replicated your chaos. We have become like you. No, Chen said softly. You're missing the point entirely. She turned to her crew, seeing in each of them the beautiful unpredictability that made humanity unique. All stations, execute the chaos protocol. But remember, don't follow the plan. Follow your instincts. The Horizon's response was immediate and breathtaking. Each department began operating according to its own inspiration, creating quantum patterns that evolved organically. Engineering pulsed with rhythms based on ancient tribal drums. Communications flowed like a jazz improvisation. Weapons followed patterns derived from dance. Mirror drive stabilizing at 35%, Rivera reported with amazement. The quantum field is actually growing stronger. Every random variation, every human impulse is adding to the pattern. The Meridian fleet's carefully calculated attempt at chaos began to break down in the face of true human spontaneity. Their ships moved in increasingly erratic patterns as their quantum network struggled to process the genuine unpredictability of human nature. They're losing coherence, Patil announced. Their quantum links are destabilizing. Each ship is getting different readings from our patterns, and they can't agree on how to respond. Chen watched as the enemy fleet's formation dissolved into genuine chaos, not the arranged disorder they had tried to create, but real confusion born from their inability to predict or control the Horizon's actions. Now, she ordered, all stations, execute your attacks. Don't coordinate, just act. The Horizon's response was devastating in its beauty. Weapons fire followed patterns based on everything from classical music to street art. Shield harmonics pulsed with rhythms from a dozen human cultures. Each department contributed its own verse to a symphony of controlled chaos that the Meridians couldn't begin to comprehend. Their flagship's quantum field is collapsing, Rivera reported, his voice filled with wonder. They're trying to process too many possibilities at once. Their consciousness network is overloading from exposure to true human randomness. Through the viewport, Chen watched as the Meridian flagship's crystalline surface began to fracture, not from weapons fire, but from the impossible task of trying to impose order on genuine chaos. Other ships in the fleet were showing similar signs of stress, their perfect forms developing cracks as they failed to reconcile human unpredictability with their rigid worldview. Incoming transmission, Patil announced. Text only, simultaneously in every human language ever recorded. The message appeared on their screens. We yield. Your chaos. It cannot be quantified, cannot be replicated, cannot be fought. We have experienced individuality, but we cannot master it as you do. How do you maintain coherence through such beautiful disorder? Chen smiled, feeling the unique rhythms of her crew flowing around her like a quantum tide. That's the secret you're finally beginning to understand. We don't maintain coherence. We create it, moment by moment, each of us contributing our own unique pattern to the greater whole. Our strength isn't in spite of our chaos, but because of it. The Meridian fleet began to withdraw, their ships moving with none of their former geometric precision. Each vessel retreated differently, as if they had finally learned the first lesson of true individuality, that some patterns can't be coordinated. They're leaving quantum space, Rivera reported. Their final transmission. It's being broadcast across all frequencies, to every corner of the galaxy. The message was simple. Beware the humans. They have mastered chaos itself. As the last Meridian ship vanished, Chen looked at her crew, Rivera with his impossible quantum calculations, Patil conducting warfare like a symphony, and every other person who had contributed their own unique rhythm to their victory. As if to emphasize his point, reality flickered around them. Through the viewport, Chen could see multiple versions of the same Meridian ships occupying slightly different positions, like a photograph taken with too long an exposure. Engineering reports critical damage to the primary power coupling, Patil added. We're losing coherence across all systems. Chen watched as her crew responded to the crisis, and something clicked in her mind. While Rivera worked quantum miracles with jury-rigged equipment, other crew members were adapting to the impossible situation with purely human ingenuity. In engineering, Chief Torres had reorganized her entire team based on a childhood game of musical chairs, rotating them through repair stations in a pattern that somehow maximized their efficiency. Lieutenant Wong in communications had started humming an old jazz tune, timing his quantum signal adjustments to its rhythm and achieving better results than the computer's calculations. Dr. Rivera, Chen said slowly, you said the mirror drive is failing because it can't handle this kind of operation. But what if that's because we're still trying to match the Meridian's original quantum patterns? Rivera looked up from his console, understanding dawning in his eyes. Instead of mimicking their order, we embrace our chaos, Chen finished. Lieutenant Patel, send this to all stations. Stop trying to maintain perfect quantum coherence. Each section should operate independently, find their own rhythm. Let's show the Meridians what human quantum states really look like. The effect was remarkable. As each station and department began operating according to their own patterns, the Horizon's quantum signature shifted. Instead of trying to maintain a single coherent state, the ship became a collection of interconnected but individual quantum patterns, just like the humans who crewed it. Mirror drive stabilizing at 27%, Rivera reported, excitement creeping into his voice. The individual quantum states are actually reinforcing each other. It's like jazz improvisation, but with physics. Through the viewport, Chen could see the Meridian ships reacting to their change. The enemy vessels moved in closer, their crystalline surfaces reflecting the Horizon's new quantum pattern like a kaleidoscope. They're scanning us intensively, Patil reported. Their quantum signatures are changing again. I think they're trying to understand how we can maintain quantum coherence without central coordination. That's the secret they'll never fully grasp. Chen said softly. Humanity's strength isn't in our technology or our understanding of physics. It's in our ability to work together while remaining uniquely ourselves. The Horizon's systems had stabilized into a new kind of quantum state, one that had never existed before. Each section operated with its own rhythm, its own pattern, yet somehow all of it worked together in a harmony that defied conventional physics. Mirror drive holding at 28%, Rivera announced, wonder in his voice. We're actually gaining power. The quantum field is becoming self-reinforcing through the interaction of individual patterns. Chen allowed herself a small smile. They had found their edge. Not by trying to beat the Meridians at their own game, but by changing the rules entirely. Now they just had to survive long enough to use it. All stations, she commanded, prepare for quantum combat. But remember, don't try to coordinate your actions perfectly. Trust your instincts. Find your own rhythm. Let's show the Meridians what happens when humanity stops trying to imitate their perfection and embraces our beautiful chaos instead. The final battle was about to begin, and its outcome would depend not on who had the superior technology, but on who could better adapt to a universe where order and chaos dance together in an endless quantum waltz. The quantum realm around the U.S. horizon had become a symphony of impossibilities. Human ingenuity had transformed the ship into something unprecedented, a vessel where each section maintained its own quantum state while somehow functioning as a coherent whole. The effect rippled through space-time like music made visible, each department contributing its own unique pattern to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Meridian Fleet is responding, Paddle reported, her fingers dancing across her console in time with a rhythm only she could hear. They're adapting their formation again. I've never seen anything like this. The crystalline ships had arranged themselves in a pattern that seemed to defy geometry itself. It wasn't the rigid order of their earlier formations, nor was it the pure chaos of their first exposure to human culture. Instead, it was something new, an attempt to mirror the Horizon's harmonious disorder. They're learning, Chen realized. But not just about us. They're learning about themselves, about the possibility of existing as individuals within their collective. Incoming transmission, Patil announced. It's different from their usual communications, more like a conversation than a command. The bridge speakers came to life with a voice that sounded less crystalline than previous Meridian communications, touched now with something almost like wonder. Humans, your patterns, they make no sense. And yet, they make all sense. How do you maintain coherence through such chaos? Chen smiled. That's the secret you're just beginning to understand. We don't maintain coherence. We thrive in its absence. Every human is a unique pattern, an individual chaos that somehow works in concert with billions of others. The Meridian ships continued their strange dance through space, their movements becoming increasingly unpredictable yet purposeful. They were experiencing something their perfectly ordered civilization had never known: the beautiful uncertainty of individual expression. Mirror drive at 35%, Rivera warned. We can maintain quantum state for maybe another 4 minutes. Chen nodded, watching as the Meridian fleet continued to evolve before their eyes. Sometimes the most effective weapon isn't technology, she mused. Sometimes it's just showing someone a new way to see the universe. The battle had entered a phase that no tactical simulation could have predicted. They were fighting not with weapons, but with ideas, using humanity's greatest strength, their embrace of chaos and creativity, to transform their enemy from within. As the quantum realm around them pulsed with new possibilities, Chen realized they had stumbled upon something far more significant than a military victory. They were watching the birth of something entirely new, a civilization learning to balance between perfect order and beautiful chaos. The real question was, what would the Meridians become once they'd fully processed their first taste of human culture? The U.S. Horizon's bridge resembled an abstract art installation more than a military command center. Holographic displays showed quantum probability fields colliding with human cultural transmissions, while emergency repairs had left a web of improvised connections across every surface. Dr. Rivera's station now included parts from 3 different systems, held together with what looked suspiciously like duct tape. Mirror drive at 28% and falling, Rivera reported, his voice hoarse from hours of continuous operation. The quantum field modifications are draining power faster than we can compensate. We got maybe 3 minutes before we lose our quantum state entirely. Commander Chen studied the tactical display, where the Meridian fleet had arranged itself into something that looked like a cross between a battle formation and a Jackson Pollock painting. Some ships still moved with geometric precision, while others traced patterns that seemed to follow music only they could hear. "Status of their quantum network?" she asked. "Fragmented but not broken," Paddle replied from Tactical. "The exposure to human culture has created something like quantum individuality. Each ship is now processing our transmissions differently, developing unique patterns, but they're still linked, still capable of coordinated action." Chen nodded grimly. They had succeeded in introducing chaos into the Meridian's perfect order, but that might have made them more dangerous, not less. The enemy was learning to combine their technological superiority with human unpredictability. Multiple quantum signatures emerging. Patel's warning came just as reality seemed to twist around them. More Meridian ships appeared, their crystalline forms now pulsing with patterns that looked almost like Earth art styles. "They're surrounding us, Commander, but their formation, it's like nothing we've seen before." The new arrivals moved with an organic fluidity that made their earlier geometric patterns seem primitive in comparison. They had taken human concepts of dance and applied them to space combat, making their movements both beautiful and lethal. "Mirror drive at 25%, Rivera announced. "Wait, something's wrong. The quantum field is becoming unstable." The horizon shuddered violently as competing quantum states tried to occupy the same space. Warning alarms screamed across every station as systems struggled to compensate for physics that shouldn't have been possible. "Hull breach on Deck 3. Patel shouted over the chaos. "Environmental systems failing in sections 5 through 8. Reroute power from non-essential systems," Chen ordered, but Rivera was already shaking his head. "It's not just a power problem, Commander. The mirror drive wasn't designed for this kind of prolonged operation. We're literally tearing holes in quantum spacetime." "Send to Earth Command," she ordered. "The quantum defense grid is secure. And let them know, we've discovered something more powerful than any weapon or shield. We've proven that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our technology or our understanding of physics. It's in our ability to remain uniquely ourselves while working together, to find harmony in discord, to create order from chaos without destroying either." The U.S. horizon hung in space, its quantum field still pulsing with the individual patterns of its crew. A testament to humanity's greatest achievement. The ability to be both one and many, ordered and chaotic, planned and spontaneous, all at the same time. In the end, they had defended Earth not by matching the Meridian's superior technology, but by showing them something they had never encountered in all their millennia of existence: the beautiful, unpredictable, impossibly coherent chaos of the human spirit.